Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. This is, yes, the Sunday edition. Beginning of the week, of course. The work week, of course, begins tomorrow, Monday. But, of course, this is the beginning of the formal or official week. As you know, of course, the week begins on Sunday and ends, of course, on Saturday. But that being as it may, and that's for those C students who may have difficulty with, of course, distinguishing. But that being as it may, people, of course, we may have some noise in the background. Well, I can tell you, nearly about 20 police vehicles outside, of course, on George Street, line up. I don't know if they are going to the Savannah. I don't know if they're going up, of course, to the All-Stars Panyard. I don't know. But, of course, it's an oversupply of them, not to be concerned. But nonetheless, of course, we have nothing to fear. But except, of course, you may be from time to time hearing sirens and so on. Well, it's because of the police that are outside, of course, our facility here on George Street. That being as it may, we are going to have, of course, a bumper program tonight. We will look at the question of morality in public life. And, of course, espoused by, of course, the WAP insane and clearly unfit Prime Minister called Keith Christopher Rowley. He is dirty inside, outside, and around. So therefore, his sense of morality is highly questionable. And of course, by extension, how the hell a longevity party called the PNM could have in 21st century Trinidad and Tobago, in a very enlightened world, information technology is at your fingertips. How come they are able, of course, to conjure up at this stage a fella like Rowley with that kind of character? Character, as you know, of course, is your sense of right and wrong. Personality, of course, is what people perceive of you. And this man has a rotten character and personality. Of course, totally unfit for a prime ministerial position because of the potential and real disaster that such an individual can bring, because of their incompetence, impotence, and their moral, what I consider to be moral turpitude. It means moral corruption, morally corrupt, and of course, deep in terms of their sense of right and wrong, as we have said and have seen in Macbeth, the Shakespearean play, which of course talks about to speak the truth is to tell a lie, and vice versa. In other words, to of course quote from that particular play of Shakespeare, fear is foul and foul is fear. You can't tell the difference, and when that happens, I will tell you, they are living, of course, in a state of manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis, which of course it appears that the entire blasted cabinet is subjected to. So enjoy once again a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, and Trinidad, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Welcome to the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation.
Remember that turn it down, just remember, God is standing by. Change it all, so there's no need to cry. Oh, God is standing by.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has the decency gone? Where has decency gone? The man cried tears for the Haitian children. He never seen suffering like that. And when they corner you and ask you for the money that you couldn't account for, arrogantly said, I don't have to account to anybody for that. And he was true. He account to nobody for it. Down in Deca Martin asking to make him prime minister. And there are people taking him seriously. And the issue in the country is...
Yes, let's go straight to the line. I wanted to get that part first before, of course, I answer any phones tonight. But a pleasant good night. Welcome to, of course, the corridor. First caller. A pleasant good night.
Okay, good night, Lennox. This is Diego Martin inside the house.
Yes, Mr. Diego Martin, go right ahead. Make your presentation.
Your throat songing much better.
All right, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Let me open the bowl in.
Yes,
with
man.
Some short ball. The man bring down yam, right?
Yes.
But what has he done for agriculture? He can't fool you with that. Look at the African snail. They have done nothing for the African snail. It is multiplying left, right, and center. I always have a backyard little garden. And you know what has happened? That has decimated every piece of seedlings I have all over there in my backyard and pots and things. So he's telling me he wants to basically reduce the food bill, but he's not doing anything to agriculture. He shut down Caroni Green. So this thing about yam and yam seeding is farcical. I want to know if he going to hand out yam just like a fellow by the name Avinash when he went down in Chagonas. The Sunday before election, he packed a van with sweet potato and he gave out people left, right, and center. But my more important issue, I want to talk about the collapse of the police service.
Yes.
And we have to acknowledge, if you're good, you could rise to the top. And we have an SRP who was an SRP, is the Commissioner of Police now, right? So we live in that too. But there are other modern SRPs, and I'm going to identify two, and another one that we spent apparently almost $1 billion going after political people. That is SRP Kate. Kate or something like that. I see they shelve all those investigations because they have gone away. So that is where some of the money go on. That is what Imbert and them don't want to tell me where the missing money go on. The other two, but in SRP, I'm going to call them DCPs. DCP HIO. You understand? And the other one is DCP F and R, Search and Rescue, and the Hunt is on. Ian Allen and Search and Rescue, Mr. Rambarat. I believe they should make them SRPs and promote them to DCPs, SNR and HIO, because they're doing more investigations, intelligence work in the police service with respect to finding crime and searching and things like that. People have to understand, and we should give them some award, because we're spending a whole $1 billion behind SRPK, and these people doing it up on their own. So I send this message to Jacob. Call them in, give them the oath, make them SRP, and it will be better for them, because the police service has fallen apart.
Yes, indeed. Yes. All right.
And the other issue, quickly.
Go ahead.
May the 12th.
Uh-huh.
That is when I think the Justice June Charles is going to be given the verdict on the Auditor General review.
Uh-huh.
And listening to Annalie has said that delaying, they don't want us to know what went on with the $3 billion missing. We want to know who pocketed it.
Yes.
Because I suspect if they're doing that and the decision coming on May the 12th, the elections go before made it well because they're hiding that information from us. That's taxpayers' money. I go on.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, of course. Let me just deal with a situation here. All right, okay, thank you very much. Of course, I've adjusted that situation. Yes, indeed. I see another caller was there, but of course, a call back. Thanks very much for your patience. Yes, indeed. Of course, let's go straight to the line. Once again, as I said, of course, we're going to question Rowley's morality and in other words, his hypocrisy, pretending, of course, to be a moralist and a ethics. But of course, in practice, he has turned out to be, of course, the diametrically opposite to what he has told us or would have told us whilst he was in opposition. Very moralistic, very anti-corruption, but today he's a corruption promoter. A pleasant good night. All right, we lost that one as well. We lost that one as well. Yes, indeed. But let's go straight, of course. There's an issue that I want to raise as well, as far as, of course, the X-ray machine machines. I don't know if it's machine or machines. I expect there will be X-ray machines at the premier hospital in the country. I'm talking about Mount Hope. Well, there is none. Since October, it was, of course, it was in a state of disrepair, has not been repaired, and the people have to wait. They have to go to Arima. Imagine that they have to go to Arima to seek, but they only have 2 days, and they take 10 patients every day, and you have to go wait in line and collect maybe some kind of number. One would expect that sick people may have to sleep on the compound of the hospital to get an X-ray. Just imagine that. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello?
Good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Mr. Lennox. Good night.
Good night. Yes.
Calling from Rio Claro, number one.
Okay, go ahead, Rio Claro.
This Prime Minister, he don't know this country. Why he don't come down to Rio Claro area and fix the road, the yam inside all them creases and all about inside? You bring in yam to plant in town?
Like he bring yam to grow on Pitch Road.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pitch Road. Yeah, he bring that urban community here.
Countryside here up in Rio Claro, area, all is a trace not fix. Why they don't come and fix the trace for the people?
That's right, so you get access to the same commodity, already finished product, already grown, but you cannot get access to it because the roads are bad. He should be focusing, of course, on access road and, of course, adequate irrigation facilitation, whether it be pipe-borne water, whether it be river water, pond water, in order, of course, to really impact. Yeah, agriculture, yeah. Yeah.
Oh God, this man, these people and them.
These people and them, no, they have gone mad, and therefore, of course, as I said yesterday, the Latin expression "non compos mentis" is appropriate for them. They seem to be of unsound mind, and that's because they have done so much evil that, of course, they can't now tell the difference, and as a result, the curse has now, of course, befallen them, and they are now saturated with all kinds of what I consider delusions. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Lennox, but I call it this area need painting, but they don't know, they only know for us and handling. They don't know this area.
Yeah, they do that for photo op. We don't know that already. There's something called framing in psychology where, of course, they take one good thing and in this case, this isn't even good. Yam to do what? And making a big scene, what? It will put money in our pockets. We are able to export it. Well, right now with the yam I'm sure that if they get good roads and good irrigation and, of course, attention to, of course, the farmers in terms of fertilizer and another facility, we will be able to produce enough to export. Yes. But these fellas are playing the ass. That is what is happening here.
Yes,
all right.
Okay.
Yes, no problem.
Very good. Entertaining and listen to you every night.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that intervention. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Ms. Santa Cruz. Yes.
Good night, Lennox. Good night to you and to everybody out there.
Yes.
Lennox, well, it really hit in the fan, boy. It really hit in the fan. You know, we better duck, you know, and we had to show our agility in how we ducking, you know, Lennox.
Yeah, we have to be
Lennox,
nimble. Yes.
yeah, you know, imagine Rohan sitting and telling the people of Maruga what their water supply will be depending on how they vote. I hope these people don't take God out of their minds and go and vote for these
They
people, you
got
know,
totally
Lennox.
mad. They said the same
Yeah.
thing to Tobago too. He said that during the crisis of the lack of transportation between both islands, when they decimated and of course consequently destroyed the economy of Tobago in the early days of this administration, he said Tobago will be short for nothing. And then he employed, instead of another boat, he employed a barge. And when people carry up, of course, the goods, the sea blast alone caused them to have to sell their produce at a reduced price that they would have paid in order, of course, to salvage some kind of benefit. Why you think Tobago hate them so much and continue so to do?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. And that's why they teach them a good lesson. And I hope the people of Trinidad teach them a good lesson as well. Lennox,
39 seats
now you want to
in
tell
Trinidad. All 39. Go ahead.
yeah, teach them a good
Grievances
lesson.
must be
Lennox,
part of the history. Go ahead now.
you're right, yeah, but Lennox, we are reading today that $1 billion was spent in that witch hunt for EMBD and live sport. But I want to remind all the PNMIs who love to come on your chat, here, there, and everywhere. Every time Munira come on or whatever, what about EMBD? What about live sport? What about this? Well, I want to tell them now, well, you go and access RPK. They had to drop the cases, Lennox, of lack of evidence.
Well, I'm sure to you and I, that is not surprising, even if we weren't aware. Because that is the collapsing and the what I consider to be the fake, that is the Rowley and the PNM, to of course keep the stupidities and them, like those, of course, those trolls and those sycophants are hopeful that they can deliver anything when they get in pain, ache, agony, just as the rest of us. But we have to think for them, and we will assist them in solving their own situation rather than committing suicide, political and otherwise. Go ahead.
Lennox, you spend $1 billion for a witch hunt. Lying on the people just like the emails.
Yeah.
And these
No
pea-brain, these crayfish and them, they believed what Rowley was saying. But from the time last year, when that man, Junior Sammy, won the case against the government, 216 million, right? I know this case was going to collapse.
But you have...
It's because it was leading up to the same thing.
Yeah, but you have now, listen to how they use semantics. You said that there were 5 contractors that was engaged in cartel-type behavior. Well, Namalco took them to court because he believed that they couldn't work for $1 billion. He believed that they couldn't work for $1 billion, 1,000 million. So here what? They took them to court. Nabalco countersue. 4 of the 6 items that were the subject of that matter, the court ruled in favor of Namalco. Namalco is supposed to get $600 million. You know what I say? $600 million. And with the cost and other factors, the cost of bringing the matter to court, and at the time, the interest, it will turn out to be $1 billion. You know this, fella, because they have not yet been ruled on the other 2. The court did not rule on the other 2 as yet. He jumping up and saying, you will hear it in tonight's program, that of course somehow them save the state the difference. I mean, how more would I say dishonest can you be? How more?
Because Lennox, they have to appease the shellnuts. They have to give them something to come and talk
Right.
about on your
Caller,
program,
hold on.
Ground Report.
Miss Santa Cruz is on the line. Yeah, go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz.
Yeah, they have to give them something to talk about on all the programs of them.
To give
They have to
to
work for
give
the food card and the
yeah,
juice box.
and to give the PNM and its leadership some kind of credibility or viability
Yeah.
when they should be relegated to the dustbin of political history and understand that their lifespan, their shelf life is now, of course, at the end. The PNM as an institution,
Yeah, the
its life
expiry
is
date
at the
drawing
end.
close.
Because they cannot bring up anybody that has any credibility to manage the affairs of the country moving forward. Go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz.
Lennox, and in an interview today with Wall Street, Dr. Munilal said, this is my interpretation of it,
Yes.
that they apparently they are going to go through freedom of information now to see who were the lawyers that received this money, right? Who were the lawyers that was pushing this? And he also said that he's going to raise the issues now. Well, that is going to be one of their platform talking points, because he said he also asked Anil if the police ever came to him. Anil said nobody ever came to him, and they only talking about Anil in live sport, but Anil's name was never called in live sport.
But worse than that,
They were
Miss Santa
never
Cruz,
called.
sorry to interject, but worse than that, they are now pursuing a life sport type of project or program.
Right.
When they giving youths a couple of acres of land and a 20,000 bursary or assistance, that is what life sport was all about. And they
That's
are
right.
doing so blatantly, but call it a different name and talking about homestead and etc. But that is what that was all about. So I am not in any way feeling that there should be any credibility given, or to put another way, or our collective conscience must be clear, because the intent of live sport was to do exactly what they are doing now. Go ahead.
Lennox, everything they accuse the partnership government for, right? They turn around and they are implementing the same thing. And the perfect example were the laptops, right?
Beautiful,
That was
man.
a perfect example was the laptops. They criticized it.
Go to the
They
top
said
of the class, yes.
teachers can't even use the laptops.
They tell,
But was big.
They tell your term, the crayfish posse, and those sycophants and those
Yeah.
who are still in denial, the very few of them, because clearly many of them are becoming disabused. They are becoming, of course, conscious of the fact that Rowley and they are a bunch of gangsters, criminals that have, of course, commandeered office, the highest offices in the country, and, of course, have delivered nothing but pain, ache, agony, and distress for them and all, because they have to pay property tax, they have to pay the increase in electricity bills, they have to pay, of course, the water rate increase, and they have to pay, of course, the consequence of removing subsidies, which, of course, Rowley told us before the election he will never touch. Never touch. Go ahead,
But
Miss-
Lena,
Yeah.
you remember when they were campaigning, they had these little children talking about don't remove the subsidy, and
Yes.
they turn around and remove the subsidy.
Yeah, by
Lennox,
knives.
you remembered. You remember when Faris was talking about the $75 box meal. He said they could have get it for $9. How much he paid Vincent Nelson a lie? How much rent money he collected? And Imbert said he saw with his own two eyes the ghost gangs, because he looked like he was a ghost whisperer. But Lennox, let me tell you something. Before I leave, I want to remind people, please, only remember all these things. That is why we bring it up every night, to remind all you that PNM is not good for this country. Remember all the bad things that they did us, and if they get back there, they will continue to do to us. Please, all you, please do not allow these people to get back into office. Lennox, thanks a lot and have a good night.
Yes, my dear. And remember, nothing as my mother used to say, they're like dogs sucking eggs, and they will never stop until, of course, you put a very hot boiled egg in the mouth.
in their mouths. Yes.
yes, and then of course
Uh,
they may, but in the case of the PNM, I don't think that they're capable of stopping.
Okay, Lennox, take care.
Thanks very much, of course, for that intervention, my dear. That was, of course, our external correspondent, Miss Santa Cruz. Let's go straight to the line once again, of course. Sorry about that, caller. I thought, for a moment, I thought Miss Santa Cruz was on this line and not on the other line. So my apology for cutting you off inadvertently. Go ahead, caller.
Quite understandable.
Yeah.
But Mr. Smith, by now, I think that we should realize that the
caller, just hold on. We have another caller on the line. Go ahead. This is what Woodbrook,
St. James.
St. James. Yes, St. James. Sorry about that. Yes, go ahead.
By now, we should realize that the PNM used high-profile members of the People's Partnership government led by Kamla Prasad-Bissessa as an excuse to withdraw huge sums of money from our treasury, pretending that they were going after them and get them for corruption. But the Corrupt Act was the withdrawal of that money and the removal of it from our taxpayers' funds of treasury, and nobody seems to know where it gone because nothing was proven against the people who they accused. But inordinate amount of money was claimed to have been spent behind that. So if we should get the information, how much was spent, who collected what, then we would know for sure what real corruption really looks like. You understand what I'm saying, sir?
Yes, I understand. Very clear.
Yes, that was just an excuse to put money in the pockets of friends and family.
In other words, a pretext to appear to legitimately engage in corrupt acts.
Yes. And if you recall, as a young man going to the Queen's Park Savannah for horse racing, and recall those gentlemen who used to play the tree card.
Yes.
And they would rob the customers. That's what they did. Sleight of hand.
Right in your face. You seen it. You tell yourself this is the card, but the sleight of hand is so.
It's sleight of hand.
The card itself may be duplicated card of the same type too. All of that as part of the trickery. Yeah.
So yes. So it has to be that when the UNC wins this election by a landslide, they need to follow that money. It has to be followed.
Oh yes, of course. They must be subject, and that is what they are desperately, the PNM that is and Rowley, are desperately trying, of course, to avoid from happening. Dr. Rowley's move and putting this Chinese man there wasn't because he wanted to. It is clear we have extrapolated that and confirmed that it wasn't that. Of course, a vital part is that Trump is in. He has gone. But of course, all indication prior to that was that he would have remained, having regarded to certain moves that he made. He wrote to, of course, the CARICOM Secretariat in preparation for an election, because I mean, if he had intended, of course, to give up to the Chinese man, then of course that clearly could not been a consideration because it was preemptive. It was too early because you're talking now about internal elections quite in September. So therefore, that plus of course there were other indicators to suggest that he was never about, of course, this so-called hackneyed position that he is now beating, and that is of course what succession planning, a big term. But really and truly, it was about Rowley and trying to exculpate himself from some investigations that I'm sure that may have emanated in the United States when he had his long delay coming from, of course, California, when he went there, of course, at a meeting.
Yes, he could run, but he can't hide.
he could run,
The
but he
thing
can't
about
hide.
it-
That is the big thing.
the-
I suppose that's why
a
he
billion-
sent Dylan. He sent Dylan to Venezuela, just in case, of course, he has to seek exile. He hoping that
Yes.
the Russians and the presence of the Iranians and the Chinese in Venezuela will protect him. Because I am not
the
putting
US.
nothing past this man. This man comes up with
but-
some phantasmagorical
Yeah.
shenanigans, as we saw
But-
with, of course, with that retreat, and then afterwards, of course, meeting of the General Council of the PNM. In that, of course, blood money edifice called Balize House, where they came out with 21 none. But prior to that, it was
Yeah.
11-9.
11-9.
Yeah.
But Mr. Smith,
Yes.
on a very serious note, that
Yes.
$1 billion that they claim to have spent could have
Oh yeah,
completed
definitely.
those
They
unfinished
can't be more
schools.
serious than that. Yes, I agree with you.
All the unfinished schools could have been completed.
Yes,
The dilapidated schools could have been repaired,
yes.
and it could have gone so far. Look, mosquito crack. Their shoddy work allowed it to collapse, and it continues to be in the billions.
And
Brian
the
Lara
so-called,
Stadium-
let me just add this, and the so-called 100 million that he asked Imber to find that never could be found, it could have been used, could have been found and used or would have been available to, of course, assist those vulnerable communities along the East-West corridor.
And I'm talking about his supporters. So it's like they suffer from this thing they call Stockholm syndrome. That is a clear indication that they suffer from Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm, yes. Go ahead, yes.
They will do anything to protect their oppressor, because there's a certain amount of how I should say certainty in bondage. Your slave master, he has to feed you. Your slave master has to give you something to wear. Your slave master has to take care of your children. But at the end of the day, he is your slave master. But in this case, our Uncle Tom really, he is a slave catcher. And they not
because
see that.
the Stockholm syndrome is taking it, of course, beyond, because, of course, it's about possibly a hijacker or a person who, of course, have done you evil, and then, of course, you turn around and loving that person.
Yes, you're protecting your oppressor with everything, with your life. You're protecting your oppressor with your life.
But the oppressors are the ones that are attempting, of course, to protect themselves with the resources of the country.
And by appointing the Chinese man, the slave catcher,
they expect that they are going to be protected in the process. I hear you, my friend.
He has led them to the slave master.
Yes. Thank you
And
very
how
much.
they're not seeing that?
I'm sure they are. I'm sure
sure
they are. You see, I would not put it past them. It's just that they either prefer to ignore, or their sense of warped loyalty is so overwhelming that they are not yet, of course, prepared to face the reality that is within their thoughts, their minds, their dreams, their sleep, and, of course, their daily experiences.
But how can someone be made to be loyal to their own demise?
Well, that
To the
is a
worst
phenomenon.
interest.
That is a phenomenon that I might say, because when I look at the Middle East, for example, and the genesis of the conflicts, is purely ideology. It's purely what in your mind, what you believe in, and that is a significant player in human existence throughout history. And we are no
agree.
exception, because, of course, if they believe in something that was told to them at one point in time, but then, of course, it turned out to be poisonous, it turned out to be toxic, it will take some time before they decondition themselves, and then, of course, face the reality, and that takes time. Just as the Nazi, up to now, the experts are not clear as to why fairly intelligent people, which the Germans are, followed Hitler. to their demise and destruction of the entire world, and put a threat to the entire world, resulting in World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But your show has gone a long way, I hope, to pull some of them out of the
Yeah,
wherever they are.
definitely out of that quagmire
Morass.
of paradigm paralysis. The quagmire of paradigm paralysis. They simply believed in what they were told. And let me tell you this: let us not underestimate the power of social media and these programs. Because remember, if this was not so, then the 1% traditional media would have dominated the public opinion shifting and influencing arena to all of us demise. But now, the very people who they wanted to hoodwink, brainwash, and of course seduce for the purpose of promoting evil, they have a very tough time, because I am on all now, you are speaking as well, and the world is listening, the entire country is listening, and they have a perspective now that is more in tune, more in sync with their reality, and thus of course the rejection of the PNM altogether. And that is why I could say with confidence that the Laventers must be, as part of the historic event of 39 seats in Trinidad for the UNC,
39
and,
seats, yeah.
and of course Kamala Prasad
Well,
Bissessa.
Before I go, Mr. Smith, may
Go
I
ahead.
remind you, Anthony Bourdain sat down and had one meal with the evil 1%. He then proceeded to commit suicide.
Yes.
That,
Yeah.
yes,
And that,
He
that
said,
is, as you know, I like to refer to that as what the Greek would say, who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad.
First
Well,
make
we
them
see that
mad.
unfolding on a daily basis, and that was a classic case where the truth was revealed, and the people became more and more conscious that we have a nefarious, small, minuscule, but reeling, of course, serious power in this country, and eating up
they're the
everything.
most powerful.
Yeah, eating everything. Yeah, like a typical,
then-
of course,
Yeah,
these six-cylinder engines that used to be gobbling up gas all over the United States, and they had, until they come to the reality, well, listen, that is too much waste. Well, they
Yeah.
have it now.
all right, you have a good night, a
Yes, same
pleasant
to you,
night
my
to you
friend.
and your
Yes, same to you,
viewers.
my friend. Yes, I just say a little long. Oh, sorry about that. We have one word holding on. Sorry about that, caller. Why this morning, tonight seemed to be, a very different night. But go ahead, caller. What's holding on? Go ahead.
Mr. Lennox,
Yes.
Mr. Lennox,
Yes, go ahead, my friend.
pleasant night, right? Moruga/Sando.
Yes, man.
Don't be sorry, be different,
I hear you, my friend. Go ahead.
right?
Yes,
Empathy and consideration will take you a long way.
I hear you, my friend.
Anyway, here what? Here what is the deal? That calico shot you have on there.
That what?
Calico shot. The shirt you have on there. Yeah. You look like you ready for carnival too.
well, I talk,
You ready for carnival?
I talk,
Hey, wait.
I talk, and you never can tell what can happen, but I'm here.
You in tongues to hell with St. James.
Yeah, and St. James is not too far from where I am, indeed. So, say what?
Alright. Here what?
Uh-huh.
I see picture for you.
You're coming
You
in.
can check it out.
You're coming in and out, boy. Go ahead. Straight over. Repeat.
I sent the picture. You hearing me?
Uh-huh.
You hearing me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
I sent the picture with the yam seeds for you.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right. Okay. Thanks.
On
Thanks very
WhatsApp
much.
now.
Yeah. Okay. So
All right.
I'll have a look at it.
Well,
Mr.
well, you-
and there's a farmer in Tobago as well that has some experience in with the production or the growing of yam as well.
Okay, well, it seems like it's an indication that the country has reached a point where we're going to be lacking in food at some point in time.
Once Rowley and them
Right?
start to focus on food, because anything they focus on is total destruction and disaster. That of course accompanies that focus. So he said that we're going
No,
to get yam, take care of that yam, has some kind of disease, and then of course it kill out the domestic variety, you know. The that sour, the that curse.
well, I hope they carrying that sort of pathogen to destroy the other the traditional. But anyway, I want to leave with this one.
Go ahead.
You know, you know the narrative, right?
Yeah.
You know the narrative. It means that everything has to go with a plan. In order to have a conclusion, it must have a beginning. A beginning is a plan. Conclusion. So ask yourself, you're a very intelligent guy. Ask yourself, think deep, search your mind, and ask yourself, what's so sinister about that whole project? There is something behind it that it smells like the fish on Muruga Beach. Fishy.
Yeah. You're talking
Right?
about which one of the plans specific? Because
I'm talking about the project, the yam project.
the Yam project. Okay, right, good. Yes, okay. Because I know you said
Right.
Moruga, and I know they just opened a fishing port. So a fishing
Yeah, well,
facility.
that's
And that too, the Morugan said is of course another one, just as the facility for pineapple. It will remain fallow. It's just a photo op.
No. Hear what? There hasn't been holding fish in Moruga Branch for the longest while, because since they phase out in the this gas boy, the
Oh yes,
regular gas.
the regular, yes,
it was-
for boats,
it
for
was-
boat engine, yes. For
Yeah,
them pirogue engines, yes.
Yeah, it was cheaper. It was cheaper, and the fishermen was making money.
Right.
But
and,
now they
and there
have to
was
combine the
yeah.
the
and there's a gas
the
station
super.
right
They
there.
had to combine. Yeah, they have to combine the super gas with whatever oil and whatever the case may be to break it down.
Oh, I see.
And that is called because it's very expensive now.
Oh, I see.
So it's not no sure to think that
So it has
facility,
decimated the fishing industry in Moruga.
Yes, exactly.
All
You
right.
understand? Fishermen hardly just hold fish and thing on the beach there again.
Okay, I
So
see.
I will leave it at that. But just think about that whole sinister behavior about that yam project.
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
Right? Because
Oh, sorry about that if I cut you off unwittingly. But of course, I think I can preempt or project what you were going to say with respect, of course, to the government and its propensity to tell us that something is nice, rosy, perfect. Of course, Rowley promised, of course, utopia in 2015 on September 8th. He says after the September 7th elections, where, of course, if your circumstances are the same, you will regret. Well, I think regret here, I mean, is an operative word, is an appropriate word. But of course, the regret that you referred to was supposed to be a reverse one, where of course we will accept the demise of the UNC. But it turns out now all of us are rearing, and of course cannot wait. We are impatient to have the UNC return to government, in spite of their delay, deliberate of course, and believing that somehow 39 seats will be divided. No, in Trinidad, no. All for the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bissesa. They can say what they want. That blasted rapist and pedophile who clearly is a no damn good. The toxicity and the existential threat to Trinidad and Tobago is Rowley, the Chinaman, and of course the PNM as an institution, because it is a criminal enterprise, clearly, that it has morphed into by a mafia-oriented or mafia-operated scenario, headed by, of course, the Don called Keith Christopher Rowley. Let's not waste time with that. Let's go back, of course, to that moral and ethical standard that, of course, Rowley would have projected hypocritically, ironically, contradictory, and of course, he is, of course, the antithesis of any moral and ethical behavior. Let me just give you the ending so you understand what he used to say when he was, of course, in opposition. Listen to this man.
Sure. People of San Fernando, you know what a business venture is? A citizen of Trinidad, you are available to be. Venture appears to be operating in the Attorney General's office. Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
I know you sycophants are shocked. And Rowley, that came out of Rowley's mouth. Those of you who are religious, or should I say serious followers of your respective religion, whether you are a Catholic, whether you are Pentecostal, whether you are Hindu, whether you are 7 days, or whether you are Muslim, this is what Rowley told us before he became Prime Minister. Suddenly, everything, of course, is some kind of secret. He has developed a new. He has added, of course, to the political lexicon or the political dictionary in this country. And that is, of course, he signs on a regular basis non-disclosure clauses. That's how far he has gone. He has, of course, put it in legal terms. Non-disclosure clauses for major initiatives that requires our money, our resources, and under normal circumstance, if he wasn't such a blasted scamper and, of course, rapscallion, we would have been able to know, and we have to fight it through the Freedom of Information Act. And I want to say that is a creature of not the PNM, you know, because they never wanted, of course, to let the population know who they really are. So it was Bazio Pandey under the UNC had to introduce that piece of legislation, Freedom of Information Act. In addition, of course, to, of course, the Equal Opportunities Commission that deals with, of course, a fairness where discrimination takes place, which, of course, we are going to be testing in the not too distant future, leading up to whenever they call elections, and of course elections and post-elections, because Kamla Prasad Bisesande will now have to treat with these matters, apart from, of course, making certain that blue lights and silver bracelets visit Rowley and his entire blasted cabinet and kitchen cabinet. Hear him on morality in public life.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Yeah, that's what he told us. He managing our affairs, and we mustn't question him.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Yeah, that's fat talk. That's fat talk. That's a pum.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has the decency gone? Where has decency gone? The man cried tears for the Haitian children. He never seen suffering like that. And when they corner you and ask you for the money that you couldn't account for.
He was referring, of course, criticizing Jack Warner. And he concerned about FIFA money. But with our money, we can't ask him at all. He take 10 million, of course, to get a false witness, Vincent Nelson. He spent over and still doing it with respect, of course, to the Cabo Star. He's spending still more than $4,000 above what the boat was supposed to be recruited for. He's still doing it and has done nothing about it. But when in a position, immoralistic, too bad, only talk is a fact. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr.
Lennox,
Yes.
a pleasant good night again. I couldn't resist this one, Lennox.
Go ahead.
Here the lying, rotten gut, lying hypocrite,
Tell it,
blank, greedy obeah man. Here I am. Eh?
Yeah.
You have to be questioned. You're spending people money. They have to be questioned. You have to question
Mr. Gandhi,
you.
hold on, eh?
But you want to meet Munilal on the pavement when they question you.
Yes.
You want to send Rodney Charles to Guyana and Barbados to live because they question you. You're cussing up all the reporters and them because they're questioning you. Up to this week, he buffeted up the reporters and them when they asked him about as he's resigning, why he's sitting on his selection committee. Oh, you minding PNM business.
Yeah.
You see how he's nasty?
Evil, dishonest.
Look what he did Darren Bahau.
Yeah. Predator. Dishonest to the hilt and beyond.
Yeah, the man suffered from double standards. That they don't even want to answer the question. He was one of them that said he was glad when Kamala and them developed questions to the Prime Minister. Oh, and I'm quoting it will keep the Prime Minister on her toes. But nobody can get an answer from you.
And always
Because
some
of his
kind of
arrogance.
sleazy undercurrent dipped in, of course, in dishonesty and, of course, contempt. Contempt.
The man
Nobody
is
must
a
ask him
sleaze.
anything. He's a narcissist.
Yeah,
He's a
the man is
dictator.
a sleaze
Yeah.
bag.
Yeah.
Nobody can talk to him. Because he feel when he cuss them, he could get away with all the wrongdoing.
Yeah,
but let me tell you
yeah.
something, Lennox,
Yeah.
he could get away from man, but he'll never get away from God. Thanks a lot, Lennox.
Well, in this case, he even getting away from man because of people like us who is in his backside like a tick. With this aggression being the best form of defense, will fall. That defense have gone. It has dissipated. It has, of course, been destroyed by, of course, the tenacity of people like myself and others on the line, and of course across Trinidad and Tobago that have concluded that Rowley and his administration is not just poison, their toxicity knows no limit, and they therefore must be relegated to the dustbin of political history. And let's go to Mr. Sandy Grandi. A pleasant good night, sir.
Good night to you, Mr. Smith.
Good night.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say, you know, it have a place they call the Devil Woodyard in Princeton.
Yes, I wonder if that was produced or named after Rowley.
No, well, I wouldn't know that, but you know, the Devil Woodyard is a set other mud volcano
Venus, yes,
that's
volcano.
popping up now. So what we're looking at now a set other party popping up here, like the Devil Woodyard.
Right.
And the significant fact there, that could only hamburg the UNC. It cannot hamburg the PNM, because the people who voting for PNM will vote PNM, right? But you know, when you want to remove the PNM, them other parties could put in some little vote and help the PNM win the election too, right? But I just say, I'm not saying that's going to happen, right? But looking at the little proxy and them got risen up all over, I don't know.
Yeah, well
in
let
my
me tell
view-
you my considered view. My considered view is that the only party that had a chance was the ONR because of the way how the fallout was between, of course, the way how the leadership of the ONR. Remember, it was people like the former Attorney General Hudson Phillip,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
PNM, yes, and of course Robinson was there. And the same thing, of course,
Yeah.
repeated itself in 2007, just before the 2007 elections, when Dukaran, a major player in the UNC, then of course formed his own party, and that created, of course, a dichotomy. And but of course, in this case, this is not. None of those players can claim any kind of credence like that of the ONR or the COP, and not even the COP today could claim such a potency to affect, of course, the UNC. So I'm very clear in my mind that the die has been cast, and it is about, of course, UNC all the way with Kamala Prasad Bissessa. The PNM must, of course, be relegated to the dustbin of history. I'm just saying, introducing that. You'll have your own opinion, of course, and I don't want, of course, to in any way influence you unnecessarily. But go ahead.
No, you're not doing that. But what I'm saying, we got to be looking out.
Yes, of course.
That's what I'm saying, right?
Note must be taken.
We can't let them fellas sneaking behind we back then. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I always believe this man, what they call Dr. Rowley, right? I looking at him. He running this country like
around
he's
every
a
corner,
king.
Over your shoulder. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, he will
Yeah,
use
he
our
run
money to do
this
that.
country
Yes. Use the people's money to do that.
like
Yes.
right. So he running this country like he's a king. He running this country like any ordinary prime minister.
Yeah, the man is dishonest
taking
to the
over
guilt. And someone is saying
you
that
know?
called the man is a thief, he's a crook, he's a
Yes.
nefarious scoundrel. He is, of course, a decrepit pedophile and rapist. And from that experience,
Okay.
he has brought it to the blasted politics and people saying about a cult. No, as a criminal gang. Go ahead.
Correct. Don't feel he want to leave this party, what they call it PNM, and their involvement. This is the reason why that he put in Stuart Young.
Of course.
If the PNM could win
Stuart
there,
Young
and Stuart Young will rule
a
it,
mere
he will be running
tool, yeah.
from behind too, you know.
Yeah, of course. Stuart Young is a tool. It's a tool for him. That's why he insists there.
Yeah.
Nobody else. He can Stuart Young know where all the skeletons are buried, and of course, he was prepared, of course, to go beyond the call of duty to get in a position where he and all is still, in my view, a political neophyte. But Rowley's
Correct.
influence on the PNM, and I'm sure that he has, of course, done so to have them, of course, convert 11, 9 to 21 all.
Yeah.
That is his doing.
You
So we know that.
understand?
It can't be Stuart Young. Stuart Young had no play in that. It's he who
Okay.
threatened these people
Okay.
with the bread and butter and so on, and then you go mash up the party, because he's the kind of fella will take up all the marbles and go and mash up the competition. That's what he will do.
Yes. So he coming out to kind of run the country from behind.
That's right.
You see? So it's a kind of scheme thing. But I always, as I tell you, I always believe history going to repeat itself. Just as how Albert Gomes lost the election as a leader in the 1956 election against the PNM in the Stenton seat, and George Chambers, 30 years after, lose the seat, and he was the prime minister at the time, also in sentence. Now it's 39 years. I believe Stuart Young will lose his seat in sentence too, because I always believe history will repeat itself. And
Yeah,
now it's
of course.
time for that to
You
happen
just have
again.
to be,
You understand?
a sophologist, they call them, people who monitor and, of course, research these elections over time. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you understand? So I really have no fear, because I always believe, you know, you have a song, what I say, Kaiser William, run, you run, Kaiser William.
Yes.
I believe this is Kaiser William for Rowley. Rowley, run, he run.
And
Rowley
therefore,
does
yes,
so much a different thing, and he always believes that he's always right.
Yeah.
And I believe they catch up with him. That
Of
is
course.
the biggest mistake he make by forcing Stuart Young on the population.
Yeah.
And he going
Having,
to
of
pay
course,
dearly for it.
recognize that he cook, that he has come to the
Yes.
zenith of the people's tolerance, that he is the most hated
Yes.
man and the most hated
Yeah.
prime minister, and therefore, of course,
Yeah.
he is the bane, he is the anathema of the people of Trinidad and
Yeah.
Tobago. He knows that he's
Correct.
he's ugly inside and outside. He knows that, and therefore, of course, doesn't worth, and never was worthy of being prime minister or the leader of the PNM. But since the PNM, since the sycophants and the rank and file was, of course, duped
Yes.
into, of course, putting him there, then they must go down with that entire
Exactly that.
corrupt edifice, a criminal enterprise.
Yes. Well, in my view, about this prime minister, he even worse than Mandoro, you know, because I'll tell you why. Mandoro's still doing something for the people who elected him there. This man ain't doing nothing for nobody who elected him, you know.
No,
He
it's
outed
about
and
the
clean
1%. He's laser focused on, of course, lining his own pockets and satisfied. And he said it in public. He said in public that, of course, the rich will get richer. And, of course, whatever comes from the table.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. This
They-
man,
they will
this
pick up,
man have no moral
they will grovel,
and
yes.
spiritual value in him, you know.
Yeah, they will
Nothing like that, you know.
genuflect and take up, of course, the scrums. That's what he's trying to tell us.
Yes.
As if we are fools.
Yes.
But it has now been reversed. We was only waiting for the final year. The final year is here.
Yes. So I telling you now, if them PNM people want to put back Stuart Young with Rowley, all of them will have to take the yam and go down in Grand Chimay to eat fish. Yam and fish. That is what he give
If
them.
they could
Go take
catch
up
any
your
fish.
yam and go down there to eat yam because that all the country going to have.
If they can catch any fish, and if them yam will grow at all, because somebody said
Yeah.
that it requires, of course, an environment that could make the vine climb and of course blossom. But he went
Yes.
and he went and planted in pure, dry, flat, undulating land, without, of course, the benefit of trees and things that the vine could grow on. I don't know what kind of I don't understand that kind of what I consider to be theatrics. Man, yeah. Okay.
Well, maybe them yam growing like sweet potato.
Yeah. So I don't know. These fellas are pilot
All right,
jokers,
brother.
boy.
Have
Yeah.
a good night.
Okay, then, yeah, same to you, my friend. Yes, indeed. Of course, let's go quickly and hear this morally warped, this morally decrepit, this morally dangerous, this immoral specimen of inhumanity.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
It's only the sycophants go say that is not your voice. Don't be surprised if they say that is not your voice, you know. Yes, let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. We on the morality of, you hear the morality of our Prime Minister, Keith Christopher Rowley? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you hear me good?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Right. First thing I want to talk about. You start back attacking on the robots. Right? You hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
That $400 million
Yeah.
in like put it on the robots.
Uh-huh.
But he said will come after 10 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
When you know nobody in listen. I say, hey, surprise. He found $400 million in a like sport accounts. He clear on the robots. Now they're attacking on it again.
Yeah, you remember when sports had that or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't carry them to court and he win. Because they're afraid and then. But here I want to tell you now, I want you to keep our name Umfa in mind. Umfa. You remember that word?
Repeat that, Lamia?
Umfa.
Umfa. All right.
Yes.
Okay, I remember fast, so remember Umfa. All right, okay.
Umfa, right. Then Fox Bona was in power.
Yeah.
I went to Guyana on a holiday.
Uh-huh.
And a partner said, let me go and hear a meeting.
Yeah.
They came to hear that man, but he said, come now, man. So anytime Bonham talk,
Yeah.
the crowd clap, and the ball in Umfa.
I hear you.
So I told him, I say, wait a Umfa thing, boy. Say, shit.
Well, it's not too far from from the rooster or the cock that crowing and doing the same thing to Rowley.
I end up in Kentucky.
And end up in Kentucky.
But
the cock was fine, Rowley.
yes. Before
Yeah. Defecating Rowley. Yes. Big joker.
Don't forget tomorrow. Eh?
No, will not, my friend.
Yeah, but something else I was supposed to tell you,
All right, but tell me that. Let's sing. There are some people that cut off.
Yeah, well, watch me. I ain't taking long again.
Okay.
Agitation used to call Buna.
Okay.
And they came out of Russia to try to embalm the body, right?
Uh-huh.
And they couldn't take embalming. They said there's some evil force in this man that the body can't embalm. I can't remember how we end up.
All right.
If we went on the ground, I believe if they try to embalm Rowley, they will get the same problem,
Yeah. I mean, a man come up with devil's woodyard, Our next man say that when anytime Rowley reach where the devil is, the devil gone,
But you really think he for real, Lennox?
Huh?
You really think Rowley is a real person?
Well, obviously, because he cannot make the PNM and give the impression that PNM is a cult. He's a real person. But he's a criminal. He's a evil man, and therefore, like every single criminal right now in remand, they never do anything wrong. But of course, they are as guilty as the sun gives way with certainty tonight, and vice versa. That is how guilty he is. But of course, once he controls the mechanism by which somebody has to prove him guilty or not, once he can control that, then of course he keeps the position until of course he's totally exposed. Like when they expose him with respect of course to the Police Service Commission, and then he had to confess it to less of course the sitting president would have been in trouble, would have been impeached for the first time. So he had to confess. And of course, just as when he told us, he will not close down Petrotrin, but eventually he acted differently. Yeah,
we know that differently. But I hear this through the grapevine.
Yeah.
The man who tried to keep the old man out in America.
Yeah. Dylan
in Venezuela. I hear you want to come out because if Trump go in Venezuela, he going to,
Of course, all Rowley's close associates.
Yes,
because what the hell he sent he there for at a time when there was no need, out of the blues he sent him there. So it had to be, of course, to prepare some kind of nest for him if it comes, when push comes to shove, and he has to seek exile.
Right. All right. So let me keep your back there.
Yes, man. Yes. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Only the sycophants wouldn't believe.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. If you have just joined us, of course,
Tobago, where has the decency?
We are looking at the morality of Rowley and whether or not he was ever suited at all to be, of course, Prime Minister in this country. We know of his misogynic statements. We know of his ugly remarks as far as children and youths are concerned. We know, of course, he will ride on the backs of any and everyone, including, of course, what is called pseudo-racism, in order to be where he is. And therefore, in such circumstance, we as a people must reject and eject him. We must jettison such an individual from the office and at the whole. And of course, wherever the pendulum swings in terms of blue lights and silver bracelets, so be it. A pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, Point 14.
Hey, Lennox, what a pleasant good night to you and everybody on the live. Pleasant good night.
Same to you.
Lennox.
Hey.
I was listening to our program there on workers' rights 868, right?
Yes.
Where where Kennedy had some meeting somewhere down Granville.
Uh-huh.
And then he said something, and I said, I want to call it a final. NESC training school, right?
Yes.
And that school was running properly underneath when Kamala was in office for 5 years.
Oh, yes, it was expanded. I mean, you're talking about, he says he's a pilot. Well, they were given, of course, that kind of course. So they were given airplane repairs, of course, heavy duty equipment license or training, and quite a number of others, including, of course, what they provide. Is they who provide the training at the Lavatel Technology and Continuing Education Center. It is, of course, an arm of NESC.
So here what's going on? Kennedy say, right, in 2013, 2014, the NESC program wasn't doing well because it hardly had students was going to do the courses on them. And he say when them teachers and them going and teach a class, it's only 1 or 2 students. So he said it make no sense to go in and teach 1 or 2 students, so they had to start the school and them was so closed down. But he said in 2013, 2014, you know. But that time Kamala was prime minister still.
Yes.
But I know that could have only happened when the government did change in 2015, 2016. So somebody had to fact check this man information.
Well, what was he doing? Was he justifying the closure? Because I want to, and therefore starting with Kamala Prasad Bisesa and they who had a right to close it because of the paucity of participation. Is that the argument, or is there something a point you were trying to make?
It had to be because they're talking about going to reopen it in Point Forted. Because I know it's them who close it down. All right.
Yeah, well, they close it down from the point of view of lack of funding, just as how they underfunded, and now it is because it's a shadow of itself. I'm talking about the University of Trinidad and Tobago, and I want to tell you this, how dishonest Rowley is. And you sycophants, you know, it is almost now ad nauseum, almost sickening to, of course, be defending that kind of, what I consider to be hogwash talking, and of course, diatribal verbalization. Because when he was in opposition, he, Rowley, and Kamala had spoken of course, generating or opening the Bay campus for law students. Rowley was against it, you know. Rowley was against it. And here the reason for his opposition to it. He said in non-certain terms that since the UWI belongs to the whole of the Caribbean, that Kamala was being unpatriotic because she should have opened that campus with the University of Trinidad and Tobago in mind. Today, not just that same campus, they have encouraged it to be under, or will encourage it to be under UWI, but they also work out an arrangement with the Cuba Hospital to be under the control of UWI as a teaching hospital for students, of medical students of the University of the West Indies. While at the same time, underfunding and reduce the funding of the Trinidad and Tobago University. That is a wicked man. That is another case for, or another argument for what? For treasonous conduct in high office. You cannot get away with that, Rowley. You're a wicked man. How you could talk that nonsense then, and now you're talking something else now? You're acting, not talking, but acting differently? Just as how you did with every other major policy. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, before I get vexed here.
Here what's going on. Here what's going on. We had to get this man behind bars before election. Because it have a song I heard where they mention even the Prime Minister being a rapist. Why is, I could be wrong. I feel you want to step up your game here. I feel you want to hold some kind of press conference, the popular media house know that the Prime Minister lie on you, saying that you say something about him being a rapist, and he turn and he say that you lie, and up to now he can't present himself to counter sue you. Something had happened because
I want to tell you, go to the top of the class. You're a smart fella, but of course, I am not at liberty to disclose the details.
I know that.
just
I know
want
that.
to tell
I
you,
know that.
you are a very perceptive individual, and for that alone, I say go to the top of the class. What it be them, impasse them. That's all I would say at this point in time. And
I don't know.
notice I say
Lockdown and listening.
them is more than one.
Right. Lockdown and listening.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. So, of course, let's go straight back, of course, to the hypocrisy of Rowley and his warped and fake morality in public life. Could say one thing, but act differently. In other words, do as I say, but don't do as I do. And he believed that somehow he's an exemplar.
$177 million. That 600 million of the 1.2 was not owed. You know the UNC don't see that taxpayers save themselves $600 million, and the judge ruled that this money, the contractor.
Let's pause and go, of course, for a cause. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr. Faizabad.
A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Uncle Lennox,
Yes.
and all your listeners. And as in the words of my uncle, share the life, share. We need the 20,000, and as you say, we want 40,000. We come like Rowley, we want it. We want every piece.
Yes, man.
So,
Thank you
Uncle
very
Lennox,
much once again. Yes, man. We need that 20,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000 every night, of course. But as I said, wise, in spite of our shortcomings, let me put it that way, because we don't have the communication apparatus to, of course, have call waiting, etc., in order to efficiently deal with it. But keep calling, keep trying, and share, friends, family, enemies, sister, daughter, a son, a father, grandfather, etc., etc. A pleasant good night to you, Mr. Faizabad. Thanks very much for that reminder.
yeah, and we'll give out the numbers in between too. Who
Yes.
only hearing and not seeing. So we'll tell them on 365-6493, or they call me on 337-6940.
Yes, man.
And
Yes,
talk to Uncle Lennox, man. He's willing. He have 2 heirs, and he's willing to give you 4 all the airtime. So,
hear you.
Uncle Lennox, we're talking about this gentleman in the back there,
yes.
who was so gentle that when he fell on the school child, she was swollen for 9 months. That's a gentleman. So, moral and spiritual, and where the integrity gone? That is a good question. Because in Tobago, it have a contractor get some license under some strange, questionable, according to the books. Because them explosive, you have to use to blast the big stone on them. Right? We want to know how the procedure went through. And on top of that, he came to Trinidad, and the police did their work, and they see a big stockpile without a license, and yet still the license was given, but he didn't collect it 4 months ago. It was there waiting on him. So you see, when we're talking about morals and honor, then we talk about when they talk 10 years ago, he talked about yam, but he bring yam seed. Just like Manning, he going back Shagaramas, hoping that the mega farm, we getting onions from down there? Are we collecting onions from Shagaramas? Are we getting quality cabbage? Are we getting the apples from the apple fields in Shagaramas? We've been there, done that, and we see that now it's the anyway. But the nice thing about it, Foster Cummins have a program, and they're here they're talking about the agriculture sector. But any other farmers who are listening to this program, and they had to bring in a machine, a mechanical machine with an engine I'm talking about, attached to it. See how much tax you have to pay for it. And up to now, in BA going to Parliament and correct it. He say go and correct it. Media review coming just now again before the budget. And all he can tell the people, this month, that month, now we say go and pay income tax. You see moral? You see how they hoodwink them?
Yeah, 87,000
When-
persons to be benefited from tax returns.
Yeah.
That's a drop in the ocean, one, but it is designed and timed to, of course, get maximum political attraction. But they don't know that their currency has dropped to zero. They have no political currency. They could talk how much they want from now until the devil consume them. Go ahead.
Because 1 minute is VAT, 1 minute is VAT return. He giving the people the VAT return, he paying the VAT return. So you see how he playing it? So I just let the people understand. These people have no morals in them. Then he take $15 million for Udicott, to pay Udicott, because as the line minister, he said he used money from Udicott for to run the business in the Prime Minister residence. Until the Prime Minister resident get the money, they'll give it back. And they're just putting it back. You see it? So I just questioning him. And then he said that the money, he's he's the Prime Minister and the line minister. So he moving him, he get the money to put back. So I just want to ask him, because he said we could question him. I want to ask him that when the 500,000 US reach America on his brother who deceased, how that reached there? I would like to ask him them thing. And Uncle Lennox, now the PNM supporters, I would like them to call in and say they're satisfied with the way Keith Rowley changed the leadership without the proper voting and the delegates and the Congress to have the convention. And you see the dictator in making. No Stuarton and them fellas and that's only lies, twists and turns. And all of a sudden they wake up on the other side of the bed to say that CARICOM, Jamaica now join the CARICOM island basket. Eh? But we don't negotiate for free movement, free trade, and free easy movement in the Caribbean and to trade with one another. You see lie? So I want to know what is the spin-off on that. And then Brian Manning saying, we are an importer of fuel, so it's no big deal. So people, the public servants, the fire service, the police workers, the prison, and the teachers, and the average Joe, it's time to understand, let's unite, and it's one common cause to save our children's future and our day on this peaceful earth. Uncle Lennox, one thing I want to let you know, the cock had come home to roost. You see crime? It finally reached home. And it's not a nice thing, because Keith Rowley is leaving these fellas and them because he say, Archie, why money as you make mischief. Archie break his silent yet. The police service, Benjamin say he will do better to get his men out there. But crime is a real thing in this country, and Trinidad is not a real place. Good night.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, of course. I want to tell you that, of course, chicken come home to roost when the rooster has been crowing and farting, crowing and farting and defecating. And, of course, you're seeing it on the screen there because they are no damn good. But, of course, tomorrow night we will look at, of course, Dr. Rowley's pretensive efforts to once again deceive through theatrics and histrionics by playing he angry that people are saying that, of course, Trinidad and Tobago is a laughing stock. A laughing stock. That's what he's saying. He's vexed that people are calling Trinidad and Tobago, not people in Trinidad alone, you know, across the Caribbean, the hemisphere, and the world. Trinidad and Tobago is a laughing stock. And hear what he say. because they buy some fuel from Jamaica. That evil, dishonest man, that dishonorable man, that disrespectful man, that dunderhead, rapscallion, near the well, and clearly a man that is suffering from acute septic intellectual invasion. You want to say? Septic intellectual invasion. His brain is full of tutu to be talking that kind of hogwash. Hogwash. I don't want to use a nice term like manic depressive psychosis. No, that's too big and nice. The man's brain is a cesspool of defecated material, to say that it's just so people in Trinidad and outside of Trinidad are laughing at Trinidad and Tobago. And don't vex, I will not vex with you, and you must not, of course, be annoyed with me for being angry. As he tries, of course, his usual tricks, his chicanery, to try to deflect attention away from the fact that it is not about buying fuel from Jamaica. It is about the fact that we have and had our oil refinery, refining the same material that they are now buying from Jamaica. And to add insults to injury, Jamaica is not a producer of any kind of oil to contribute to the 300 or so 30,000 barrels that they refine on a daily basis. Trinidad and Tobago produces more than what they refine as crude oil, 40,000 barrels a day. When you combine the fact that we have still an oil refinery that has been shut down and mothballed, and we cannot produce a cent from it, we cannot glean, we cannot take, we cannot sell it for a cent, and it is there as scrap iron, and we continue, of course, to produce oil, you must expect the people to call you and ask Rowley, and that your government consummate, dense, stupid, nincompoops, and asinine specimen of inhumanity. You must expect what you're feeling shame about. Why must you feel shame for us when you did it? And all you have to do to begin the process of healing is to call the blasted election. Let us get you out. You and your minions will now be subjected to, of course, blue lights and silver bracelets, among other things, and let the country breathe. Rowley, you cannot, in a spit of false self-righteous indignation, suddenly nobody must say that Trinidad and Tobago is a laughing stock because they buy some fuel from Jamaica. Hold your tail. You're too damn deceiving and stressfully so. It is about, once again, people, for those sycophants and they who want, of course, to generate and to, of course, engage in Rowley's gobbledygook, gaslighting. It is about, and that sycophant can say what they want. It is about, of course, Trinidad and Tobago having and had an oil refinery producing oil, and yet still these very items that they would have been producing at the oil refinery, they now have to buy when they could have gotten it cheaper here, and then they have the audacity, the temerity, the gall, the effrontery to tell us one thing. Let us take this call before I tell you the other side of it, the other part of this bizarre state of affairs. Come on. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Mr. Lennox Smith, good night.
Night
All
to
the
you.
old talk, everybody talking. They should research and find out which part Jamaica getting the fuel from to refine to sell back to we. You ain't think so?
Well, yes, all of that, and that will manifest itself in due course, I'm sure.
But since how long they're talking about they getting fuel from Jamaica, nobody, all them
It's
people
only
were ringing
recently
there
that came to the
research.
surface.
Watch me. It's just last week you find
I said
people could
recently
pick
came
up
to
the
surface,
phone
yes.
and find out.
Yeah.
People could pick up the phone and find out and see which part they used to even be buying their fuel from.
Well, when they had, of course, clearly an arrangement with Peter Vista, which had 49% of that oil refinery facility, and by 2020 or 2019, I believe, when, of course, Trump came in, and he had, of course, his attack against Venezuela, the Jamaicans knew, not Trinidad, the Venezuelans knew what tree to climb. So they started to put things in place and get rid of Peter Vista and Venezuela out of there, and of course acquired that 49%. Rowley didn't do that. Rowley behind, of course, Dragon Gas, and of course this and that and so on.
Listen,
Come
we
on,
want to know which part the Jamaican getting the fuel now. We know they don't deal with Venezuela. They get their shares back from Venezuela. But it's where they're getting the fuel from now. It's days now. But I listened to Mr. David Lee, and it seems as though he didn't know which part. But he asking a question today,
All right.
the same thing what I asking, and if it have a third man in it, and if they're using some kind of proxy. So we waiting to hear, but we could do some research.
Of course. I
You see?
will not be surprised, but
I
will.
find them people were ringing like they don't know to research our, because I tired research. I ain't getting paid for it.
You
And
is
when
the
I come
person,
with
I ain't getting paid
people
either,
that's
but you is the
doubt me.
person to bring the damn information, man. What you holding back for?
Watch me. Look, you research better than me. I went and check out the thing, and you get through better than me.
It doesn't matter.
Let them do something to. Watch me.
Yeah, we find information, and then we
They need to
collaborate.
help you out.
Yeah.
They need to help you out. You
Alright.
understand? But
Okay.
in the meantime, let's see them questions Mr. David Lee asks, if they could tie them up to answer the question.
Great. I
We
didn't get a
want to
chance to
know.
look at it, but I'll look at it tonight. Yeah. I suspect
Yeah.
that's where it's coming from. All
Check
right.
it out. Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Yeah. It is hilarious. It is bullshit that these people are on, Rowley and they. Bullshit. We have to tell them as it is. This is the last leg that they are on. And in pugilistic terms, in boxing terms, when you have an opportunity to knock them out, you knock them out. Knock them out cold, unconscious. They mustn't revive. And that is where we are going on these and other programs like these. They can't tell me nothing. They will be treading gingerly because they want to show that somehow they have, of course, remedied their aggressive and brutal and, of course, myopic as well as their barbaric tendency in government, draconian measures and Machiavellian politics that they have been engaged in over the last 10 years. We was waiting for that. Now that it is here, all your asses are grasses, Rowley and others. Let's go to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox Smith.
Good night to you.
The state of affairs in this country is sad. What's happening with this refinery? It's sad. There's
Yes.
a lot of heavy lifting. Whoever get the refinery, there's a lot of heavy lifting to build back those relationships and so on. We could have been engaging in the same bunker trade,
course.
which the oil field workers trade union
That's
was
right.
encouraging petrotrain for years
Yes, man.
to produce.
Yes.
You know, and however the company choose not to listen to them. And today in 2025 we have to be importing bunker fuel, which also is a consequence of the closure of the petrotrain refinery.
Yeah.
You see, and there should be no naming of any bidders right now, right? Because we need to get that patriotic bid revalidated. There should be no announcement, right? We need to get patriotic bid revalidated and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I want to tell you, anything they do now contributes, of course, to their, not only their demise, but the curse that they have proven to be, or the curses that they have proven to be over the last 10 years. Everything they touch. And I want to tell, of course, those sycophants, all they are coming to now is an easy quiz. No big thing. Tell me, Trinidad and Tobago buys the fuel from Jamaica, but they want to do the same business as Jamaica. Bunker fuel. That's fuel for boats. The source of the boats are those over 40 a day that traverse the Panama Canal. So well over 5,000 a year. We already proved that Jamaica is in the north and closer to the United States, Canada, and Europe, across the Atlantic. So I ain't going there. I want to bust all your cell brains, all your brain cells. In other words, I'm going to say cell brains because I don't want to say that only have a one cell brain. So I will say brain cells. So you're buying fuel from Jamaica that is closer to the destination ports that these boats pass through the Panama Canal into the Caribbean Sea and then could go to any one of the islands of the archipelago. Archipelago, of course, is a chain of islands. So from Cuba in the north to Trinidad in the south. Guyana is not, even though it's more south than Trinidad, but it is not an island. So the archipelago encloses the Caribbean Sea, but into that sea, from Panama Canal, these ships emerge or sail into Trinidad in the south, Jamaica in the north. Trinidad and Tobago buys the same fuel for those ships from Jamaica to do according to Rowley and your boss and your Chinese co-boss, because that's how it's set up. Buy it from Jamaica to do the same business, bunkering, giving ships fuel on their journey to North America, to United States, Canada, or Europe. I want to ask you, the question is whether or not Trinidad could do it cheaper than Jamaica. And if you were a ship owner, where would you go to buy bunker fluid? In Jamaica or Trinidad? That's what I want to ask all you. Let me see if all you have common sense. Common sense it requires. Not, you don't have to know economics or geography. I set up all that for you already. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, I'll come back in to touch on that because I was looking at the map the last time you showed. But you have to remember the world is round. And what about Africa? The continent Africa, it does have vessels coming here. So when they come here, they would need fuel, right? It had one time vessels from from Iran.
Yeah, but I want you to listen.
Iran.
I want you to listen carefully.
Wait,
Rowley and yes, sir, wait. But I want to correct you one time. Rowley and Young talked about the expansion of the Panama Canal. I know all of what you're talking about, but I'm saying that if it is that a vessel coming out of Panama Canal, because that's what they say, I don't want to introduce something that they didn't say.
How they will talk about the Panama Canal when they buy the fuel from Jamaica? Is this way it have to come back from northwest? It had to sail from North Venezuela to come East Venezuela and then out to Trinidad and Tobago. What Panama Canal come in there with bringing the fuel
Rowley
here?
and Stuart Young said. I'm only
Well,
repeating
then
what they
them
say.
dancey head, we don't want to deal with them.
No, but
I
I have to do that because they are prime ministers duo. One in waiting, one exists. You don't know if it goes switch. But the fact is that is, you see, because Rowley is concerned that people laughing at Trinidad. So I have to make it clear as to what the issues are and whether or not Rowley is justified in, of course, defying and saying people must not call us asses when in fact we are in fact asses by those conduct and those statements. But go ahead.
I don't know what they're talking about Panama Canal. Okay, they're bringing the fuel from Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? When they're coming back, they're coming by the Caribbean Sea. Is the Caribbean Sea they have to come through?
That's right.
And then into the Atlantic.
Yes.
From northwest, and which is East Venezuela. First they will be sailing North Venezuela, East Venezuela, and then back here. Right? But what I am saying, if they are to sell this fuel, they would be dealing with vessels coming from the African continent or as far as the east, because vessels used to come here, tankers used to pass through here to carry fuel to Venezuela, and they used to get fuel here, these Iranian tankers. But then they come now and they sanction Iran not to deliver no gas to them. You understand? I don't know if you could remember when.
No, go ahead, because I didn't want to go there yet.
Saddam Hussein. You could remember this administration, right? I think it was Trump self tells Stuart Young when he was Minister of National Security, they don't want any Iranian vessels passing through our waters. Right, because our waters here in the Gulf and in the Dragon Mouth belongs to us and Venezuela, right? So they told this young man, this young Chinese man, do not let these vessels pass through here, nor must they stop to take up fuel. You understand? So this is what I'm showing you. If vessels coming from the Middle East, the African continent, and they have to sail through Trinidad, go all northwest, and they need fuel, they will stop here first, right? And then on the journey again, they could take by Jamaica. But you have to look at the next side of the world, and you would see that the long distance it is to even reach Jamaica. They could take fuel here. But the part where they're talking Panama Canal, that really concern we. No how.
Right.
So that is it, right?
Right, thank you very much. Let me get back to my question to them again. We are dealing with the Panama Canal. And I'm saying that your common sense, would a ship come to Trinidad to go up to the north afterwards and then go across the Atlantic to Europe? I'm dealing with what Rowley and they say. And then, of course, Ms. Arima's concern will now be an issue after you answer that question. And that is, of course, if you're buying fuel from Jamaica, it has to be only for ships that are coming to Trinidad, and you must have bunkering facilities because we're buying goods from all over the world. And it comes here by ship. So we must have bunkering fuel. So the bunkering fuel that they buy, because we don't produce it, has to be for those ships that visit here. I understand that. Whether they come from Africa, they come from of course, even if they're coming through the Panama Canal and they are coming with goods for Trinidad. But in terms of a bunkering international business, they will not come here if they have no business here. That's the point I am making. Or indeed, if they are passing through, maybe to go to Venezuela, as the case may be, certainly that's another opportunity for bunkering services. But basically, it would be for ships coming to Trinidad, and therefore would require refueling, just like a plane, if it lands in any country in the world, must have a stock or a storage of fuel to refuel the plane to take off to the onwards to wherever it is going, as the case may be. That's the point I'm making. But I'm only concerned with Rowley, and they're talking about Panama and ships coming there, and therefore a vibrant business, they say, would now develop because it's diversification. The normal thing, they will always have, of course, bunkering material or bunkering fuel for ships coming to Trinidad to offload and to reload, as the case may be. That is obvious. All right. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night, Lennox. I know it's 10 o'clock already, so I'm going to
Oh,
be
boy,
short.
yes, boy. Yes, it's 7 o'clock. I even realize that, but go ahead. Yeah.
I really don't want to hear who buying fuel from who and who they with who man and who is prime minister. No, all I want to know is when call elections.
When is election? I agree with you.
Election.
I agree with you.
Me, I want to know who buying gas and who's buying who they with who and who thing. I want to hear when Rowley calling and saying, hey, or if he put this Chinese man, well, first time in Trinidad history, 12 people go in a room or some kind of thing, and they come back and they say, well, they prime minister now. Nobody had the choice again, the citizen had the choice again.
And he's still not prime minister all now. He's still not prime minister all now.
But he partner to get that money. Because even if you listen to somebody be reported the UNC making, if that man only serve one day as prime minister, he going and get $87,000 a month.
Once the president swears him in, that's it. Once the president swears him in, that's it. That's the official criteria. From henceforth, he will be entitled to all the benefits of a prime minister.
And I think that day when they do decide to swear in, people should come out on the streets by the way they swear in there's happen by the prime minister or the president or wherever there's happen. And people should kick back against and say,
don't be surprised if they do it in secret, eh? Don't be surprised if we just hear that he was sworn in under private selected persons attending and so on and so on. Maybe the Chief Justice and so on. And then they hide it from the rest of us, Don't be surprised.
I ain't doubted because well, let me tell you something. We on the ground and we walking around and we talking. I want the country feeling like it being run by, I keep telling you, like by mobsters.
Con women.
By mobsters.
Yeah, mobsters. All nice good term. Yes.
Yeah. All right, Lennox, take it easy.
Yes, indeed. Of course, well, people, we have come to the end. I didn't realize that, but of course, before we go, let me just pray for those who didn't get a bit of it. Of course, Dr. Rowley's warped morality in public life. Do as I say, but don't do as I do. That man is a hypocrite to the what I consider to be to the unlimited.
The full school to go there. People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has your decency gone? Where has decency gone? The man cried tears for the Haitian children. He never seen suffering like that. And when they corner you and ask you for the money that you couldn't account for, arrogantly said, I don't have to account to anybody for that. And he was true. He account to nobody for it. Down in Deco Martin asking to make him prime minister.
Of course, you are talking about Warner at that time.
And there are people taking him seriously.
And the issue in the country is an absence of moral and spiritual values and wickedness in high places and an absence of morality.
Oh boy. Yes, good night.
Yeah, just take this last call before you go, your boy.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Come here.
To be sworn in as Prime Minister, you have to win your seat.
You have to what?
Yeah, so when he sits, so John Cameron, that's it.
No, there's no election here. Rowley is resigning, so that he has to take over from there. That is why, in this case.
And what?
Yeah, but once the majority of the parliamentarians in the House support him, he's Prime Minister.
As of now?
Yeah. Once the letter reaches the president receives it. Then of course they make arrangement to make that happen. Yeah.
Even before the election?
Yeah, even before the election. Yes, even before the election, because Rowley will send a letter to the president saying that he resigned.
Okay.
And then the party now will send a letter saying that these are the parliamentarians that support Young, and they are in the majority. Rowley will still be, of course, a parliamentarian, so his vote, his consent will be there as well, and that is how the process will proceed. All right? Yeah, all of them yeah. 20, remember, it was 11-9, and it afterwards in that blood money establishment called Balize House, it turned to be 21-9. All right.
But it could come back to 11-9 again, you know.
Well, you never can tell, but we'll see. Yeah. People are so unpredictable.
Because
all right.
I feel like I agree to that.
But let's see what's happening, because he has, it appears, because it's 21 this year and they only have 21 seats in the parliament.
Then already he was a big money and he money remain in the
he getting enough from government offices rented conveniently only because they're in government. All right, later, let me just get this last call.
It's true. He has with that parliament with a 120 wire.
I hear you. But let me get this last call and that's it. All right, bye-bye.
Have you got to talk if you want anything, call me.
Yeah, I'll call you, yes. All right, go ahead, caller. Sorry about that. What's up?
Yeah, good night.
Good night, yes.
Yeah, man. I want to ask a question.
Go ahead, boy. Like this thing, nobody want me to stop or what? And then I call again?
If it is, if it have any irregularities within the office of the DPP, what are these steps will have to take place with that is concerned?
Well, you see, these offices, the president, the chief justice, and so on, it's very difficult to get rid of them unless they're sick or they're mentally deranged and they can't perform and so on. What has to happen is that the public must, of course, apply sufficient pressure in order for that to happen for those kinds of offices. But of course, the Constitution does not contemplate that these people will be dishonest or no dishonorable, as the case may be. In fact, of course, the Constitution goes as far as the president is concerned to say that whatever he or she does, why say he or she is president, whether it's a criminal matter or not, she or he is exempted from any prosecution. That's it. How deep they are when they take that oath and ensconce. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, no way. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay then. Let me just go and take this final call. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Long time no hear from my friend.
Yeah, hi. Everything cool with you?
Yes, man. Pressure, but hold on. All the best to you and your family.
Yeah, why want to find out when UNC win, right? They cannot retract with the full votes that you need now to control the parliament. You can't retract all them kind of thing that was done unconstitutionally.
Well, yes. Once they have a constitutional majority, certainly they could run the gambit and, of course, put things right, which I expected that they would do, and we have a duty, of course, to force them or to insist that they do it. All right?
Yeah, and retroactive it.
Yeah, retroactive so as well in some cases.
But John can't go with the money, so I need to.
Oh, you mean that one? No, that one is difficult because that is difficult to put even retroactive or even legislate, because there's a fundamental right. They could go to court and challenge that and win easily, because of course money is considered to be a man's possession, just like a house, and you cannot, of course, take it from him unless, of course, you go through the courts. So they can't go to Parliament and retract that. So They could try, I suppose, but it's very difficult. Once the Parliament accepts the salary, the new salary, that's it, and that will be due. Of course, the Parliament will get other reports of the Salary Review Commission in the future, and of course, those who in the majority could easily deny it, and then they move on. All right, but it's difficult to take back that money that they will be getting from, of course, Short Young or Rowley, as the case may be. All right?
All right.
Okay,
all right,
yes.
yeah, all right.
Yeah. And remember, of course, Kamala will have to get as well because she was a prime minister. Because is anybody who was a prime minister, so she too will get her piece as well because she's still living. All right. All right. Let's go, of course, to complete that particular video.
In public affairs, we are forming a team. It's a work in progress. And what you've seen tonight is the way forward for the future of governance in Trinidad and Tobago. The other day, a contractor sued a state enterprise for $1.2 billion. Payment certificates that they were claiming, that they were owed, and claiming $1.2 billion. The matter went to court, and the judge ruled that the contractor is owed $477 million. That $600 million of the 1.2 was not owed. You know the UNC don't see that taxpayers save themselves $600 million, and the judge ruled.
And as I told you, of course, that particular matter was with Namalco, one of the companies that Short Young said was part of a cartel. So they ain't supposed to get no money at all, as far as Young and them is concerned. But Namalco take the government to court instead, and that's what he's talking about. So the judge ruled that $400 million they should get. But he wants you to focus on the 600. But let me tell you this. He didn't tell you in that particular, what I consider to be vehement, outlandish, pretensive statement that he somehow protected the national purse. He didn't tell me yet how much they pay to prosecute that case in the court. He didn't tell me yet how much in interest the government had to pay. And it may well cover the other 600 million that he is claiming some kind of victory for. This man is an ass.
That this money, the contractor and elements of the company were seeking to take that money from taxpayers dishonestly through a conspiracy. The judge ruled that, the judge ruled that the extra $600 million or $700 million was an attempt to get it.
And let me tell you this, that was four of the six contracts that was supposed to be decided upon. And the fifth one, there was a postponement to give judgment to Namalco, to Namalco. And the sixth one was supposed to be retried or was still, of course, being delayed for judicial examination or ventilation. This man is a total backside, claiming something that ought not to be. Where cry them to court for? And we have to pay more now because it has to be done on interest. The interest alone could come up to more than the $1 billion he's talking about. But he was claiming all the time that they couldn't work for $1 billion. That brutish, evil, wicked, ugly son of a... Let me go ahead. Yeah, that's what he is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the lectern the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, to deliver the feature address.
Thank you very much, our Master of Ceremonies, Nigel.
A pleasant good night.
Good night, Lennox.
You have to be real quick, eh?
I taking in
your performance there is you're like you're on a stage. That performance is beautiful, man. Well, I will tell you, I'm paying money to see, you know. Well, right. So let me pleasant good night to everyone. But let me just let me do a little analysis here and let me figure out something here and I'll stand corrected. So you know I just on your learning stage going on this road now, but this is not on my track. You understand? So but I hopping on because it is something for us to live better. So I have to stay on this track.
Yeah.
So this is the thing about it. If Kamala when she gets into power and she gets into office, I'm just making a suggestion here. I think that what she should do is either consider setting up her personal what I would say, her personal grouping of people, whoever it is, to go after all these different issues that we may have. I mean, and I'll be a see it over at the end of the day, what I mean. So, for instance, I would just draw a reference. We have WASA, we have health, we have these different ills, whatever taking place, even the oil in Jamaica and whatever. So when she set up this different committee or whatever in her personal circle there, they will actually be doing these things and coming towards and say, okay, be ready for WASA. What WASA doing, digging up hole and doing this, we know what to. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe that you will be able to take some of the burden off of her so that she could do new things and focus on new things coming on rather than to be all in this spiral with everything happening at the same time. And before you know it, it will look at the end of the day, well, I'll say end of the day, meaning maybe a couple of months down the road, it will look like she's not performing, but she actually is, because what happened again, she has to spread her arms so wide around to fix things that is not things. So what I'm just saying is that maybe she could have a committee that actually focuses on these different ills. And at the end of the day, when they get okay, we have something to go with, we're gonna either, let's say property tax, we're gonna move the property tax permanently, close up all loopholes so that whoever come in cannot come and just bring in something and say we generated that and all kind of thing. Maybe just shut it down, we lock up all the loopholes and then present it to cabinet and whoever it is necessary. So that's what I'm trying to say. Unless you go forward now, getting different investors in the country, doing different things. So it's just a suggestion.
Yeah,
all
no
right?
problem, no problem. But of course, I want to tell you that that is pretty much a standard practice. What you do, you silo. The Attorney General will deal, of course, with those past iniquitous matters. He, in turn, of course, will put, of course, a group of lawyers together and investigators working with the other agencies, of course, to bring to justice past the iniquities of Rowley and this. So that's one aspect of it. You have the parliamentary arm, of course, looking at legislation that were draconian and wicked and evil. Of course, they will now look at these laws to repeal or to rescind or of course or to become retroactive. And then you have, of course, the cabinet itself, where all of these heads of these various entities would meet as a government to make decisions, whether it be, of course, on the basis of a budget, Ways and Means Committee, to look at how you're going to fund all of these initiatives. And then, of course, you have another element where the various ministries, whether the Ministry of Works, the Ministry of Culture, the Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of National Security, the office or the Ministry of the Attorney General, and of course the other elements that is to deliver to the population, including, of course, state enterprises, whether it be, of course, UDICOT, whether it be, of course, the Port of Spain Development Corporation, whether it be the various corporations, whether it be the various regional entities. I'm talking about corporations here in the local government system. So there is a well-established, of course, nexus and a network to treat with this matter, which, of course, I'm sure that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC are well experienced and capable of addressing. So your concern is in the right place, and I'm sure that all of that would be fine-tuned depending on the gravity and the priority of the issues that would have, of course, come to the attention of the Kamala Persad-Bissessar UNC, whatever configuration, new administration moving forward after the 2025 general elections. All right, and let's get back, of course, to completing this video.
Allow me to first and foremost dispense with the disappointment of my cabinet colleagues, the Honorable Stuart Young,
trying to make fun, of course,
currently
of his
serving
colleagues.
as
Yes.
Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Member of Parliament for this area. Neighboring but equally disappointed Member of Parliament for Diego Martin Northeast, Minister of Finance Colin Imbert. One from Diego Martin, Simon de Nobrega, Minister of Communications. These gentlemen all disappointed that they never got to a real school.
But of course, he was mama guiding them because apparently they did not, of course, attend the inauguration, or should I say the closing ceremony or the cutting of the ribbon of his pet project. Rowley's pet project. Guess what? You're going to hear it just now. Rowley's pet project. Rowley's vanity project. Are talking about, of course, the rehabilitation or the reconstruction of the Magnificent Seven. That's what he's talking about. You go hear him talk about Mayflower. You hear him talk about, of course, the head of the Catholic Church building, Archbishop House. You hear him talk about Whitehall and, of course, Stolmeyer's Castle, QRC. Why am I saying that? I am saying that because today he was saying that, listen, let us, of course, sanitize, make vivid, make conspicuous, rehabilitate our heritage from colonial past. But today, he wants to take off the three ships of the emblem of the country. That man is an ass. Listen to him.
But on their behalf, coming from the bosom of the Anglican diocese, in a full school today, I understand their feelings and I comfort them by telling them, doesn't matter how good you are, you can't have everything. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, youth, today is a very happy day for me and for all Anglicans, and I dare say all members of the national community in Trinidad and Tobago. Because as you would have heard and probably cringed when you discovered that this building which we have restored and are presenting to the national community in this way today was almost pulled down. Even in thought, that was a reprehensible thought.
Imagine that.
But seriously, its sister building next door, Millfleur, came even closer to being pulled down. Because when the government, under the leadership of the cabinet, took the decision to find the resources and the will to preserve our legacy, our priceless legacy.
Imagine that, our priceless legacy. He talked about the Magnificent Seven, and today he wants to distance himself now. The man is bipolar, the man is schizophrenic, the man is a consummate backside. Because how could you be spending all that money to repair Mayflower, the Archbishop House, the Anglican Bishop House, the Stolmeyer's Castle, repair, of course, the President's House, which in itself is a architecture of course, colonial times, and say you go find the money, etc. And then today, you are telling us that you want to take off the Columbus ship, the Pina, the Nina, and the other one from the emblem of Trinidad and Tobago because you want to disassociate yourself with colonial times and they want to put the steel pan. Man, hold your tail, man, Rowley. You're too damn nastily hypocritical and stupid.
I want to call on the bishop to call on his colleagues to assume a greater responsibility in calling on the national community, especially parents, to take responsibility for their progeny and not just raise them and let them loose on the national community and hope that the teacher succeeds, or worse, that the police succeeds.
There are a variety of ways by which public officers steal public money. Very few of them I've known have gone to the treasury or wheelbarrow, opened the vault, and put money in the vault. One or two low-level cashiers have done that. They've taken money from the till and put it in their pocket. And some of them make some warm jail for that. But usually, things are done in a variety of ways. The end result of it is to vacuum money out of the treasury into the pockets of the fortunate few.
You must pause and say, well, Rowley, how you know so good? Because exactly that has occurred with the construction of that monstrosity called Balize House. Where the hell you get the money from? Where you get 100 million and counting from, Rowley? Rowley, where you get the money from? PNM, ask Rowley where they get the money from. Because all you're going and, of course, revel in a blood money. Monstrosity from, of course, the assembly of a criminal group called under the PNM with a mafia propensity. Where you get it from? He know well how to get it. You hear him? You hear him?
The treasury or wheelbarrow, open the vault and put money in the vault. One or two low-level cashiers have done that. They've taken money from the till and put it in their pocket. And some of them make some warm jail for that. But usually, things are done in a variety of ways. The end result of it is to vacuum money out of the treasury into the pockets of the fortunate few. In this situation,
in the fortunate few, he say, you know, fortunate few. How you can be fortunate in that sense when, of course, he is a blasted thief, Rowley? How you can consider the same term, fortunate few, before you say the rapscallion few, the evil few, the criminal few, but the fortunate few, for money that they take out of the treasury. Well, that's Rowley and they believe that they are fortunate. They're fortunate only because they're in government. That is what he is. What I consider to be misrepresenting as fortunate. How the hell you can be fortunate? You're a thief. Fortunate what? A thief and few.
You're facing. Somebody has seen that if you make claims and the claims are upheld, then payments have to be made to the claimant. The making of claims and the putting up of evidence to the court is done by lawyers. And once you get settlement without proper defense, then you have a business. That's what the master of the court says. A business venture. People of San Fernando, you know what a business venture is? A business venture appears to be operating in the Attorney General's office.
So hear what? He referring, of course, to those young men who was charged for the owner of that grocery. He talking about them. Nipol, and they sue the government for, of course, bad treatment, and they get $20 million, and they couldn't find the file, they say, etc., etc. And he is saying that there is a business occurring out of the office of the Attorney General where he trying, of course, to identify public servants, throw them under the bus in this case. But it is an Attorney General under his watch, his government. So there can be no moral or ethical high ground when you lack the checks and balance and the foresightedness and the efficaciousness of monitoring, so that persons who would otherwise not be a beneficiary of a court decision could not have been. And he wanted to, of course, cover it up by blaming somebody else and not, of course, his Attorney General. That is what has happened there. Remember that case? Remember that case? The case of Nightfall, and most of the fellas get away that were charged.
Once you are in the political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Yes, people. So we have come to the end of tonight's program.
Political arena, you are available to be questioned by every citizen of Trinidad and Tobago because you are managing their affairs.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. Don't forget, of course, tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself, as we continue, of course, with these and other programs. Don't forget, we'll be back here tomorrow night, and we will look at the moral and ethical issues surrounding this government, and, of course, the fact that they have collapsed on every sphere of life for which they have responsibility, and that 39 seats must deservedly be given to, of course, the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Laventille, be part and parcel of history on this occasion. Be part and parcel of history when the bell is tolled. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. Bye-bye.
People of Trinidad and Tobago, where has your decency gone? Where has decency gone? The man tried tears for the Haitian children. He never seen suffering like that. And when they corner you and ask you for the money that you couldn't account for, arrogantly said, I don't have to account to anybody for that. And he was true. He didn't account to nobody for it. Don't even the Martin and ask you to make him prime minister. And there are people taking him seriously.
The issue in the country is an absence of moral and spiritual values and wickedness in high places, and an absence of morality in public affairs.
We are forming a team. It's a work in progress. And what you've seen tonight is the way forward for the future of governance in Trinidad and Tobago.
other day, a contractor sued a state enterprise for $1.2 billion. Payment certificates that they were claiming, that they were owed, and claiming $1.2 billion. The matter went to court, and the judge ruled that the contractor is owed $471 million. That $600 million of the 1.2 was not owed. You know the UNC don't see that taxpayers save themselves $600 million, and the judge ruled that this money, the contractor and elements of the company were seeking to take that money from taxpayers dishonestly through a conspiracy. The judge ruled that, the judge ruled that the extra $600 million or $700 million was an attempt to get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome to the lectern the Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Keith Rowley, to deliver the feature address.
Thank you very much, Master Ceremonies Manager. Very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Allow me to, first and foremost, dispense with the disappointment of my cabinet colleague, the Honorable Stuart Young, currently serving as Minister of Energy and Minister in the Office of Prime Minister, Member of Parliament for this area, neighboring but equally disappointed Member of Parliament for Diego Martin North East.